I'm honored that a knight such as you takes an interest in me.
I'd like to discuss the price.
Well, we can try it.
What about this?
I'd almost shake on that. Almost. All right, so... be a bit more careful.
I'd like to buy a horse.
Well now, have you seen our steeds?
I have. Fine animals.
Nothing but the best here. Is there one in particular you fancy? Strong and swift, and there's none as brave. He'd carry you to hell if you wanted.
Surely you'll knock something off the price if I trade in my old one. Agree?
More. Done.
I'm glad to see you.
Master Huntsman, is there any work for me here?
There's always something that needs doing. You're that Scarlet's lad, aren't you? Sir Radzig's lackey.
Sir Radzig is my liege, and I serve him faithfully. But that doesn't make me a lackey.
As you wish. What matters to me is that you're no layabout looking for easy work. I have a job here I can't give to just anyone.
I'm listening.
We've been having terrible problems with poachers lately. In Sir Divish's forests, we've been finding gutted entrails of deer and rabbit nooses all over the place. But no sign of the bastards who put them there.
And you want me to track down the poachers?
Indeed. Whatever you learn will be useful to me.
Do you suspect anyone?
Well, it's hard to say, but seeing how much harm they're causing, I'd say they're no crofters looking for a Sunday roast.
Shouldn't you be dealing with the poachers yourself?
I should, you're quite right. But when I ask the local folk anything, their mouths close up like clams. They're more scared of me than the devil.
Do you think the locals are in on it?
Well, I don't know, maybe. But even if not, they'll never talk to me. They're scared I'll dig some skeleton out of their cupboard. You know, the smaller the village, the bigger the secrets. That's why I need an outsider to ask for me.
I understand. I'll try to find out something about them. Any advice about where to start?
Certainly. Ask around the village. Somebody must have seen or heard something. And it wouldn't hurt to ask in the inn in the glade, the one on the road towards Neuhof. I've heard they serve good venison, and no shortage of it.
That's clear enough. As soon as I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Thanks for your help, lad.
Can we do something about the price?
All right, so.
What about this?
Well, now, a little more and we'll shake on it. All right, so. God save you, Henry.
Good health, you.
I've taken care of that camp.
Have you brought any proof?
Here it is.
Good work. Well done. Some charcoal burners came here from the camp to the south. It seems there are humans camped there by the path, and they've been attacking folk in the area. Best go and check it out.
I understand. I have some trophies.
Show me. Good work. That's the way to deal with the scum.
Can you teach me how to defend myself better in combat?
Certainly.
I want to achieve mastery.
You can't become a master overnight. You have to know almost everything before trying to achieve mastery.
Well, I'll think it over.
Good day, Henry. Good day, Henry. God be with you.
God's blessing. What can I do for you?
What do you think about all the poaching lately?
What should I be thinking? If they ever catch them, Sir Divish will have them skinned alive. But for that to happen, our master huntsman would have to be made of sterner stuff.
Do you think Nicholas isn't doing enough?
A master huntsman who lets poachers run wild through his woods? He's useless. He couldn't even stop them hanging a stag's head on his own house.
Right. Thank you, innkeeper. I'll be going. How are the Talmberg folk getting on? Is it peaceful here?
It's so quiet here, someone will soon end up swinging from the gibbet.
God save Henry.
There's no end to this meeting.
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
If you ask me, there's some questions best left unanswered. But go and see Elena if you're determined. That old gossip will tell you all there is to know.
Good day, Henry. Welcome, Henry.
Watch where you're going. Welcome, Henry.
I heard there are poachers in the woods round here.
If only if it was just poachers. It's that sorcerer Hare. He's the one who's been running amok. I said he'd be back, and I said he'd be vengeful, and I was right both times.
Tell me something about Hanekin Hare.
Ah, that was all years ago. He turned up here one day. No one rightly knew where from. He claimed up at the castle to be a nobleman's son, and so he got the office of Master Huntsman, and Margaret was promised him for his wife. Nobody could have known he was a sorcerer.
And how did his sorcery reveal itself?
Well, he was able to vanish into thin air in the forest right in front of folk. And I've heard it said he spoke to animals, too, though I don't know the truth of it.
That doesn't sound very convincing to me.
That's because you've not seen his marksmanship. It was natural, the things he could do with that bow of his. They say he sold his soul for the gift of it.
I see. How did it go with Margaret?
I'm not one to gossip, but she was a flighty lass in her younger years. She could never make up her mind which one she wanted, the Hare or Nicholas. So in the end, fate decided for her.
What do you mean? What happened with Hare?
Oh, that was quite something. And then some on top of it. Sir Henry of Lipo was visiting here at the castle, and Hare snapped his guardsman's neck with his bare hands. Of course, they found him out. But how do you keep a sorcerer under lock and key? You can't. That's your answer. And that Satan spawn slipped the net.
Oh well, it's quite a wild story. Any idea why he murdered the man?
No one knows, and most likely never will. But they say he was fully in the devil's power. There was a full moon, you see.
Was he actually seen killing the guardsman?
I suppose so. Else they'd hardly know who did it, would they?
That's probably true. There is one other thing I want to ask. Has anyone actually seen this Hanekin Hare? He seems to exist only as a bogeyman to frighten naughty children.
Oh, he exists all right. But he flits around in the forest like a shadow. They won't be catching him anytime soon. But Blacksmith's Betty heard some of their goings-on in the woods.
Goings-on? What's that supposed to mean?
Cavorting and raising hell. Sorcery! Hare meets up with his sorcerer's apprentices, and they feast in the clearing in the woods. In the morning, they turn into ravens and scatter. Or so she says. But you'll have to ask Betty for more. Who knows what she saw? Or what she was doing there with them?
Very well. I'll ask. Who does Hare want revenge on?
Master Huntsman Nicholas, of course. When the Hare disappeared, Nicholas took his Margaret and the huntsman's posting.
So Nicholas came out of it well?
That one always knew how to land on his feet.
Tell me something about Hanekin Hare.
Ah, that was all years ago. He turned up here one day. No one rightly knew where from. He claimed up at the castle to be a nobleman's son, and so he got the office of Master Huntsman, and Margaret was promised him for his wife. Nobody could have known he was a sorcerer.
Well, I should be going. Thanks for the chat.
Not at all. I always like a good chin wag.
God save you.
May the Lord watch over you. Why are you sneaking about like a ghost?
I've got a few questions about these poachers.
So ask.
I heard you saw something fishy in the forest.
That's right, I did.
Can you describe what you saw?
It was after dark, I remember that. I went up past the castle along by the clearing, and I saw someone had lit a fire, and there were figures singing and dancing, and I could hear the whistling of a pipe. And I could smell roast meat. It was like a feast of some sort. Only I thought maybe it was some witch's Sabbath, so I was afraid to stay too long in case they saw me.
Did you recognize anyone there? Someone from the village, maybe?
No. Like I said, it was dark. All I could see was shadowy figures moving around.
Did you hear any familiar voices?
No. But I heard girls' laughter, goblets clinking, a piper playing. It sounded just like any feast.
God save you, Henry.
Where is the clearing?
A short walk north of the castle. There's a track past the woodcutter's camp that takes you there.
Thanks. What do you make of this poaching that's been going on?
It's clear as day. Hanekin Hare's back. And putting those antlers on Nicholas's house? Well, we all know what that means, don't we? It's the sign of a cuckold, you mark my words.
You mean to say his wife's cheating on him?
All I'm saying is she might be feeling the urge. It happens in the best of families.
Well, you're the first who's certain of Hare's return. So far, I've just heard vague rumours.
Well, now, I wouldn't say I'm completely sure. I suppose some other mischief maker could have done it, but better the devil you know. And everyone hereabouts knows Hare.
You were singing a different song not long ago.
So? Why do you want to know so much, anyway?
It's nothing to you, but I'm helping Nicholas unmask that local poaching gang.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, now you know. And you also know not to keep anything from me. So, what's the story with that Hare?
All right, I'll tell you what I know. But promise not to tell Nicholas I said it.
I'll do what I can, but I need to let him know what I discover. So, out with it.
It's to do with Margaret, his wife. They say it's all because of her.
Keep going.
I know full well Hare's here, because Margaret admitted as much.
What did she tell you?
That he waited in the woods till she came by and they exchanged some words. Words was all she told me. Who knows what they actually got up to?
And what did they speak about?
I don't know. But if Nicholas knew they'd met, he'd most likely kill her.
You're sure she wasn't saying it in jest?
Oh no. Margaret wouldn't joke about something like that.
Hey, Henry's come to see us. Welcome, Henry.
Who's this Hanekin Hare, anyway?
Hanekin Hare? There was a time he was master huntsman here, and Margaret was set to be his wife. But then he got himself accused of murder and fled before they could hang him. Margaret and his job both ended up going to Nicholas.
Well, you're the first who's certain of Hare's return. So far, I've just heard vague rumours.
Well, now, I wouldn't say I'm completely sure. I suppose some other mischief maker could have done it, but better the devil you know. And everyone hereabouts knows Hare.
How are you, Henry?
Stop trying to wriggle out of it. Do you realise who I am?
Not really.
But you know who Radzig Cobbler is, right?
Of course.
I'm his right-hand man, and I'm helping the huntsmen catch the poachers. So, I'm not someone you should be messing around.
All right, I'll tell you what I know. But promise not to tell Nicholas I said it.
I'll do what I can, but I need to let him know what I discover. So, out with it.
It's to do with Margaret, his wife. They say it's all because of her.
Keep going.
I know full well Hare's here, because Margaret admitted as much.
What did she tell you?
That he waited in the woods till she came by and they exchanged some words. Words was all she told me. Who knows what they actually got up to?
And what did they speak about?
I don't know. But if
Hey,
Nicholas
Henry's
knew
come to
they'd
see
met,
us.
he'd most likely kill her.
You're sure she wasn't saying it in jest?
Oh no. Margaret wouldn't joke about something like that.
So what's the story between Hare and Margaret?
It was complicated. He wanted her and she wanted him too, I reckon. At least for a while. But then she hitched up with Nicholas and now she says she never had a thought of wedding Hanekin Hare.
So what went on between Hare and the huntsman?
Those two? There was no love lost between them from the moment Hare arrived. And then Margaret got involved. It was a messy business.
Do you think Hare really killed that man?
Who knows the truth of it now? I did find it all a bit odd. Hare never was much of a hothead. But then again, no one really knew him that well. And Margaret never wanted to speak of it. Wouldn't hear a word about it.
That's all I need. Thanks.
God save Henry.
God be with you, Henry.
God be with you, Henry.
What do you think about all the poaching lately?
What should I be thinking? If they ever catch them, Sir Divish will have them skinned alive. But for that to happen, our master huntsman would have to be made of sterner stuff.
Folk were talking about Hanekin Hare.
Oh, good
God be with
Lord.
you, Henry.
People do like to prattle on. Don't you go believing a word they say. It's the back of beyond here, and they'll tell any tale to spice things up a bit.
May the Lord watch
Thank you,
over
innkeeper.
Henry.
I'll be going.
God save you, Henry.
Where do I go to sleep?
In the loft, there's a door next to the chicken coop. Inside, there's a ladder up to the loft. You'll find it all set up for sleeping.
Is there someone here who trades in goods?
Troy Votova. He's as thin as a starving hound and about as cheerful. But he can get anything you want. I saw him by the local granary.
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
If you ask me, there's some questions best left unanswered. But go and see Elena if you're determined. That old gossip will tell you all there is to know. God be with you, Henry. God
I heard
save
you've got a
you, Henry.
poaching problem in the woods around here.
In the woods and out of them. Not long back, the bastards hung a deer's head on the huntsman's house.
That's pretty brazen of them.
Certainly is. Word around the village is that someone wants to
Henry,
shame him
I'm
till
glad
he
you stopped by.
squirms.
God save you, Henry.
Putting a deer's head on the huntsman's house sounds pretty risky. Why would anyone do that?
Maybe they want to show that Huntsman Nicholas is no match for them. And they're not wrong. He isn't the man he should be.
Do you think it was someone local?
I really don't know. All sorts of things get said. Hanekin Hare's back, if you listen to some, and others are going on about Tom of the Baths. They swear blind he's got his fingers in it.
And what about you?
It could be anyone. There's more than one that has it in for Nicholas. And who knows what the neighbors get up to by night.
What's so suspicious about this Thomas?
Just that he was drunk and blabbering about how he was going to bring back venison from the woods.
Tell me something about Hanekin Hare.
He used to be master huntsman here a while back. But then Nicholas got him accused of a murder. and the Hare had to flee. It cost him the huntsman's rank and Margaret, too.
What happened between Hare and Nicholas, anyway?
Those two didn't get on from the start. And then that business with Margaret really set them at each other's throats. But it all came to a head about 15 years back when Sir Henry of Lipa came to visit.
Sir Hanish's father?
Just so. There was a banquet at the castle in his honor, and in the morning they found one of Sir Henry's men-at-arms in the ditch with his neck broken. Well, Nicholas made sure the blame fell on Hanekin Hare.
And what happened to Hare?
That's just it. No one rightly knows. They put him in the dungeon, but when Sir Henry's men came for him the next morning, he was gone. No one knows what became of him.
So how did Nicholas put the blame on Hare?
Nicholas always had a viper's tongue, and events made it easy for him. That evening there'd been a right falling out between Hare and the guardsmen. Those were struck. Well, Sir Divish didn't want any ill will with Sir Henry, so he tried to settle things as quick as he could, and Hare got the short straw.
What was going on with Margaret?
Her father promised her to Hanekin, because they seemed a good match. But Nicholas couldn't stomach that, so he did what he did.
Hey, Henry's come to see us.
I want to ask about something else. Tell me something about Hanekin Hare.
He used to be Master Huntsman here a while back, but then Nicholas got him accused of a murder, and the Hare had to flee. It cost him the huntsman's rank and Margaret, too.
I want to ask about something else. So why do people think Tom of the Baths is involved?
Ah, that's just nonsense. He was bragging in the tavern that he'd put on a venison feast for the village girls. Deer for the deers.
Did he?
I doubt it. He's all mouth and no trousers. But if you want to know more, ask my husband, the innkeeper. I wasn't here that evening.
God save you, Henry.
That'll be all. Thanks.
God save you, Henry.
I've heard Tom of the Baths was mouthing off in here.
So he did. He and Jack Piper were bragging about how they'd make a feast for the village lasses, that there'd be venison roasted, enough beer to fill a river. And a few days later, they did come and buy a few kegs of beer from me.
Did they have anything else to say?
Not really. I told him to shut up, or someone would hear him and there'd be trouble.
And what did he say to that?
Nothing. He had more booze in him than the castle cellar. He just hiccuped and slid under the table. Piper took him off after that, thank God.
Do you suppose he meant it?
Hardly. He's nothing but a braggart.
All right, I'd best ask him myself.
Feel free to ask, but don't believe half what he says.
And who is this Jake Piper?
Oh, he's Tom's best mate. A decent fellow. They call him the Piper because everywhere he goes, he's whistling on that pipe of his.
Where can I find him?
Well, most likely in the quarry. He lends a hand there to make ends meet.
Thank you, innkeeper. I'll be going.
Welcome, Henry.
God grant you health. How may I help you?
I must reward you for saving my livelihood. If folk believed the stories, well, I dread to think how it could have ended up.
But the bad stone wasn't even from your quarry.
Still, sometimes words can hurt a man more than a blow from a mace. Here's your reward. You've earned it, lad.
God be...
God's blessings. What can I do for you?
I need to ask you something about the poachers.
What? Me? Why me, for Christ's sake?
They say you were mouthing off in the tavern.
We'd all had a few ales. You know what it's like. The tales get taller.
So you didn't go poaching with Thomas?
My God, no. That would never even cross our minds. Thomas is a bit wild, but I have some sense, at least.
Good day, Henry.
Some folk had themselves a feast in the woods recently, and the people who passed by told me they heard a piper playing. You weren't by any chance there, were you?
I was. I don't deny it. But nothing disreputable went on there.
If you're innocent, lying won't help you.
I don't know what you want from me. Nothing wrong went on in that clearing, and I certainly don't go poaching in the woods.
But you do know something about it, and you're keeping it from me. Covering up for a friend, is that it? Very well. Loyalty is a fine thing, but once they discover who did it, then it'll be too late. You'll be in right in over your head, with him.
But I haven't done anything.
Then you have nothing to fear if you tell me what happened.
All right. Yes. There was venison being eaten, but I didn't bring it. Thomas brought that there.
So all that bragging when he was drunk was more than just hot air?
I don't know where the deer came from. After what happened in the tavern, Tom took me to the forest to this hide there. But I was too worried someone would catch us, and I took off.
You did yourself a favour. Thomas isn't going to get away with this. I need to ask you something about the poachers.
What? Me? Why me, for Christ's sake?
So about that feast you had the other day.
What about it?
Good day, Henry.
So who was at the feast?
Just the village girls and us.
Who's us?
Us lads.
Was Tom from the baths there too?
Yes. Yes, he was there.
Now listen up, laddie. I don't have time for your nonsense. This whole escapade stinks of poaching a mile off. So you better start talking.
But I'm not a poacher.
I didn't ask you that. I asked what you know about it.
Well, the thing is, if I did know something and told you, the word might get round that I'm a snitch.
If you don't talk, the word might get round that you've got broken legs. Understand?
All right. Yes. There was venison being eaten, but I didn't bring it. Thomas brought that there.
So all that bragging when he was drunk was more than just hot air?
I don't know where the deer came from. After what happened in the tavern, Tom took me to the forest to this hide there. But I was too worried someone would catch us, and I took off.
You did yourself a favour. Thomas isn't going to get away with this.